Hi, welcome to Kick-Ass Switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you are watching another episode of Every Which Way. This time featuring Kim Huggens, the author of so many kick-ass articles and books, including Tarot 101 and my personal favorite, The Companion Guide to the Tarot Illuminati. And if you watch me, follow me, listen to me here, there, or anywhere, you have heard me mention Kim Huggens and The Companion Guide to the Tarot Illuminati a jillion times because I am obsessed. And I happen to think I'm obsessed for very good reason. Kim Huggens' mind is a magical wonderland. She has an in-depth, eclectic understanding of magic, tarot, all kinds of different mystery traditions, voodoo, the OTO. She has the ability to take very academic ideas and then translate them using story in a way that really resonates for, I think, a modern reader. So I'm super honored that I got the chance to finally talk to this woman, and so pleased to share this little taste tester. We didn't have a lot of time, and it was very tempting to not want to go off in a million different directions and be like, tell me about voodoo, tell me about OTO, tell me about the tarot. So this is a condensed version of the possibilities of once you get into the mind of Kim Huggens. And I have no doubt, if you're not familiar with her work, that after you watch this interview, you're going to want to be, and you're going to be running off to Amazon just as fast as your fingers will take you. So without any further ado, here she is, the wonderful, the magical Kim Huggens. Hi, Kim. Welcome to Every Which Way. Hi.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think my viewers are probably cheering right now because I've been such a Kim Huggens pusher for like a year now, telling everybody she's a tarot genius. I've mentioned you so many times, so it's a total honor getting to have you here today.
Thank you.
So let's start there. Let's start with the word genius, because I'm dying to know, were you considered a very smart kid growing up? Because let me frame this for people who have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm a fan of the Tarot Illuminati, the Companion Guide in particular, and your understanding of so many different subjects in depth, and then how they weave together. I think I'm a smart person, and then I like read something you've written, and I'm like, oh my God, she's crazy in the brain. It's amazing. So did they think you were very smart or precocious growing up?
I think you have to ask my parents. I did enjoy school a lot, and I did enjoy very academic pursuits as well. So I was always reading voraciously when I was a kid. I think by the time I was 9, I'd gone through my school library and read every book that they had, and then asked for more. And then when I went to college, I fell in love with philosophy, and that really became my first academic passion was philosophy. So I studied that at university, and that's I think where I got my academic way of thinking and way of writing. I went on to do postgraduate study as well in ancient history. So that kind of all filtered into my tarot work. The ancient history I was looking at was ancient Greece and Rome, all the mythology and the religion that came from there, in particular all the mystery religions and the magical practices they undertook. So that was actually very strongly influential, I think, on the symbolism of tarot. So I was able to recognise in my academic studies that the stuff that I'd been passionate about in my tarot work for so many years before. So it was kind of a uniting of the two, really. But yeah, I was certainly very interested in learning. I don't know if I'd say I was very, very clever, but
I would say that. And I want to say, for people who've never read your work, it's when you say academic, it's not dry. It's very engaging. You use a lot of storytelling to, paint a broader picture. And I found, let me show people, this is not the companion guide. This is the book that comes with the Tarot Illuminati. It's very gilded and shiny. This comes with the kit when you buy the Tarot Illuminati. And to me, I'm a crazy book lover. I buy a lot of used books. So I think it was like $35 to get the companion guide. And I was like hemming and hawing, like it would cost such a fortune. Like, I don't know, should I spring for this? But this was so intriguing. And this just gives you like a little taste of what's going to be in that book that I decided to do that. I never spend that much on a book. And now it's everything. It took my understanding of tarot to a whole other level, and like I said, tied in all of these other alchemy, mythology, astrology in a way that's just easy to understand. So the academia is not like so highfalutin that someone can't pick up that book and get a hold of it.
That's something that's very important to me. I was asked to do a lot of lectures on my academic research for the pagan and occult community in the last 7 or 8 years. So I've become very interested in trying to get across these otherwise quite dry ideas in an interesting fashion, so that the person who isn't academically familiar with these things and doesn't want to, go into the dry old tomes can engage with it and really share my passion as well. So yeah, I'm really pleased that's come through in the work.
Are you by any chance an air sign?
A what, sorry?
Are you by any chance an air sign?
I'm not, no. I'm actually Cancerian.
Intellect, up here, I associate that so much with the mind and air. I'm wearing the Queen of Swords, which is a necklace that you sell from the Tarot Illuminati deck, because I am an air sign and I really relate to her. What you've written about the Queen of Swords really like touched me in a way, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. But just so people know, you have an Etsy shop where you actually sell jewelry, and you're wearing some of it today. If you want to show them something.
Yeah, I'm only wearing a very small one today, but this is a very small Queen of Wands from the Tarot Illuminati. I've got a couple of pieces here as well, so this is probably the best seller in the shop. They're 30 by 40 millimeters glass cabochon pendants set in silver pendant trays. That's the High Priestess from the Tarot Illuminati. And I do any of the cards from the Tarot Illuminati as wearable art, essentially.
Nice. They were designed by Erik C, we should say. And his artwork is what intrigued me and got me interested in it, but then somehow I became obsessed with you accidentally. I thought I was just going to be into the cards, and I was like, whoa, I think your book is kind of like its own tarot deck in a way, because you get to know the cards like their own character in a way, and it's very applicable to your own life. And your interest in, I think, alchemy is especially fascinating to me. And the reason I asked you if you're an air sign is I was wondering, you practice magic, or you have. I'm not sure if this is an ongoing practice for you. I know you have some experience. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but with the OTO and Voodoo and a variety of all kinds of different branches of what I would say like the magical family tree. So how does being an intellectual, does it get in the way of practicing magic, or do you feel like it enhances it? Because I know sometimes if you get stuck up in your head, it's complicated.
I think for me it definitely enhances it. I find it very easy to experience something without at the time intellectually processing it, and then afterwards intellectually processing it. And it's during that afterwards that my intellectual understanding of things and all my studies kind of tie in and make me see things in retrospect that I wouldn't have seen at the time. And it's been very interesting, in particular with my voodoo practice, because voodoo is very experiential. It's very much about the bodily manifestation of spiritual practice. You have possessions, you have dances which go on all night, you have feasting and physical offerings for the spirits. and I found that being able to think about it and bring in all that I've learned, particularly from, funnily enough, the Greek and Roman traditions, has really helped me. I think there's a historical link between some of the African practices and the Greek and Roman practices, which came over with the African diaspora into the New World and have influenced things like hoodoo and voodoo. So yeah, I think it's enhanced it. And with traditions like the OTO and the Western mystery tradition, they are naturally very academic. They require a lot of study outside of the actual magic, outside of the ritual, so that the person who is undergoing the rituals, who is undergoing the initiations, never stops feeding all the parts of themselves. It's not just about growing the spirit, it's about growing the mind. They're two inextricably linked parts of the self for me. Yeah, that's a long answer.
No, you're so eclectic. It's hard for me to figure out what to ask you next, because my mind just goes in like 10 different directions, and I'm like, oh my god, do I want to ask you about voodoo? Do I want to ask you about the OTO? I was going to say this other thing. It's just like, wow. When did you first get a sense that, or maybe you always did, I guess I'm assuming you didn't. Was there a moment where you got a sense that all of these different interests, all of this like eclectic exploring that you do, was there a moment where you realized, oh, this all ties in together, this is starting to like form this fabric of my spirituality, or did it seem a little chaotic at first?
I think it's I can hear myself now, sorry. Are you getting feedback on your
A little bit. It goes away once you're talking, so I'm trying so hard not to interrupt you.
Okay. For me, it wasn't really chaotic. I don't know why. You'd imagine it would be, but the way I practice things and all these different traditions is, although they are all part of my life, part of me, I don't do them at the same time. So I wouldn't do a voodoo ritual in an OTO way, for instance, or I wouldn't do a Western mystery tradition ritual calling upon the voodoo Loire. They're two very distinctive traditions which stand apart. I guess they all feed into me because I'm very much a melting pot. I've had so many different influences in my life, and because tarot was my first love, and tarot by its very nature is eclectic, it hasn't been a problem for me. It's just been another aspect of the universe or weaving in together. So it's worked very nicely.
Well, when did you find tarot?
When I was 9, actually. It's a very boring story.
That is not boring. Already, that is not boring. A 9-year-old.
Well, no, it really is. I was going on a road trip with my parents down to Cornwall in England. And we stopped at a service station, and I had £1 pocket money, which to me, I was 9, it was a lot at the time. And I was just wandering around looking in some of the shops, and there was a book called Fortune Telling with Tarot Cards by Stuart Kaplan, and it was 99p. So I just bought it. It piqued my interest, and I spent the rest of the holiday reading it and copying up the card images that I saw in the book and cutting them out to make these really badly drawn tarot cards and trying to do readings with them. And it just grew from there, really. I didn't actually have my first tarot deck till I was 12 years old. And it came free with a teenage girl magazine called Sugar. And it was just this pack of it's the major arcana and the 4 aces, but made really, really teenage. Like they're all the names were changed, all the images were very 1997, that kind of thing. I read with that deck so much. I read for all my friends. I took it to school, to all the slumber parties, and I lost it in a camping field somewhere a couple of years later.
Well, I think that probably explains this whole, she's a genius. I mean, just because I think when you're young, your mind is open, you're more formative, and then to like build on that, into your adult years and then keep adding. That's what I love about tarot. You never get to the end of it, and then you start learning how other things tie in and other cultures, and The alchemy, I would love to ask you about. Is that something, that's my favorite part, I think, of the companion guide you wrote. Whenever I get to those parts, they're a mess in my book. It's like underlined and illustrated and like, So, where did you come by that? Was that part of the OTO training or just a separate thing?
I think that was something when I was about 15. I used to frequent a bookshop near where I lived with my best friend. We were just getting into things like Wicca and Witchcraft at the time, and they had a section on magic and paganism and everything. So we go in there nearly every weekend. And there was a divination set called, I think it was Alchemy stones or something. I bought that again on a whim, and that's when I first came across alchemy, and it had all the various alchemical stages of the process detailed in it. And I just read that book, and that's where it began. Again, very, very boring. Then, of course, alchemy does play a role in things like the Western mystery tradition. There's certain rituals in the OTO, such as I've forgotten the name of it. The Gnostic Mass. There we are. It's very late for me. The Gnostic Mass. It's like the main public ritual of the OTO, which are decidedly alchemical in nature. And I think alchemy has formed a very solid basis for much of the Western mystery tradition since since it became popular again. So it's everywhere. It's difficult to study occultism and not come across it. It's one of those things, I think, which everyone should study, even just in a very basic level. So.
And again, too, learning that at 15, I feel like you have that basic understanding of it. So when you get into something that's more layered and complex, like the OTO, which we should explain to people what that is, actually. But you already have like a foundation, that you put in place when you were just a curious teenager.
Yeah.
So what is the OTO? I guess I'm assuming people know what it is, but that's probably not true.
Well, it might not be true, actually. The OTO, it stands for Ordo Templi Orientis. It's a magical order in the Western mystery tradition, which was certainly made popular by people like Aleister Crowley. It's very popular in the United States and in the UK. It's essentially I'd say the religious organisation of Thelema, which is the religion that Aleister Crowley created. In his Thoth deck, he has a lot of OTO. He has a lot of things which the OTO use in their rituals, such as the Gnostic Mass, and a lot of formulae that OTO initiates undergo. Most OTO bodies are they take part in regular rituals, regular gatherings. They have classes and workshops on various parts of the Western mystery tradition, and they're there also as a community for Thelemites and people in the Western mystery tradition to share their philosophy, their religious ideas, their magical work, their growing understanding of all these things. So it's quite nice, actually, to have that religious community there.
You actually brought me around to something I wanted to ask you about the Thoth deck, because the Tarot Illuminati is very much Rider-Waite Smith. It's got that system in play. Do you have a preference between the two? And if so, what was it like, going through card by card by card in such depth? You were not lazy for any of the cards. I mean, you really gave each card your all. So what was that like, working with the Rider-Waite Smith system that way?
The Rider-Waite Smith system is the one I learnt on first, so it's kind of like my go-to system. But since becoming more familiar with the Western mystery tradition, with the OTO, with Hermetic magic, the Thoth deck really became a necessary part of my study. So I use it in preference over other decks for people who are also Thelemites, who are in the OTO, who are magically inclined in that way, because the imagery speaks to them in a much more profound way, I think, particularly if their questions are of magical nature. So when it came to writing the book for the Tarot Illuminati, I felt like I was coming home, really, but expanding that more, because there is a definite influence from the Thoth Tarot in there. It's not missing from the deck. Yeah. Certainly not.
I feel that. How did you hook up with Erik C. Dunne? Because you guys are working on a project now, and you're continuing that relationship, which I'm so excited about. I'm sure I'll be blabbing about it to everyone. So I guess this is a two-part question. Can you tell us about that project, and also how did you end up hooking up with Erik, the artist who created the deck?
Yeah, Erik had been working on the Tarot Illuminati for a number of years before I actually met him. It's really what I guess he would consider his magnum opus. It was a manifestation and an expression of everything he'd learned throughout his years with tarot in an artistic form. And he was originally working with a friend of his who was writing the book, but unfortunately his friend couldn't complete the book. So he posted on Facebook and said, I need an author for this deck, and he showed some images online, and it was actually the Queen of Swords that he posted, and I just fell in love. There she is. Yeah, I looked at it, and I was completely breathtaken by it, and the fact that it was Queen Elizabeth as the Queen of Swords really made me go, yes, I want to write for this deck. So I messaged him on Facebook and gave him my credentials, I guess, and said, here's what I've written before, here's my influences, here's some ideas I have, I'd be very interested in working with you. And I think the following day we were on Skype together talking, and it just clicked straight away. The ideas that I had for the book mirrored what he hoped for the book. And from then on it just ran really smoothly. So I wrote that book. It was a bit of a rush. It was 3.5 months he had to the deadline, so that's what I had to work with.
I see. Okay. Genius! I don't know how you did that. Your brain is a magical wonderland, woman. I have no idea how you did that.
Well, I woke up, I went to work, I came back home, I wrote, I went to sleep. Rinse and repeat. That was the book. So now we've decided we'd like to try again. So we're working on the Tarot Apocalypsis, a sister deck to the Tarot Illuminati. Now this deck is a bit more themed in a way. It's still very Rider-Waite inspired, but what we're doing is for the major arcana, each card is a different mystery religion from the ancient world. So for instance, the Eleusinian mysteries for the High Priestess, the mysteries of Inanna in ancient Babylonia for the Empress. Then we've got the Agori cult in India as the Tower, for instance. And then each of the minor arcana suits a particular culture, very similar to the Tarot Illuminati. So we've got the swords are Norse and Scandinavian, the cups are Greek and Roman, the pentacles are the Khmer Cambodian culture, and the wands are Egyptian. Each of the court cards is a god from those cultures. So we've got, for instance, Horus as the King of Wands, Isis as the Princess of Wands. And then all the minor arcana show various aspects of those cultures, which are very, very important to them, particularly in how they manifest their ideas of the sacred. So the name Apocalypsis is Greek for revelation. So it's really a deck about how mystery is revealed in various ways, not only in mystery religions, but also in everyday life through various cultures. And to us, that's what tarot is. It's a revealing of mystery, card by card. It should be finished, hopefully, in January and released in May 2016. So it's not too far away. And it will be another deck and book set, but the book's going to be bigger. It's going to be hardback, so you won't have to buy an extended companion book separately. It's going to be all in there with the cards. So should be good.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I love that you're combining the different cultures and the theme for, I'm moving away from the theme of tarot, which I did in October here, into the theme of storytelling. And what you were just saying about the pulling from the different cultures and the different myths, that kind of storytelling, I think really enhances your understanding of tarot. And, you know, with each deck, with each book, you take your knowledge deeper, and because I know you are a genius and I'm sticking to that, I know it's going to be fabulous. So I always end these interviews by asking, you know, what's your one tip for creating the kick-ass life of your dreams? But since you're such a tarot expert, I would love to ask you, what's your one tip for using tarot to create the kick-ass life of your dreams? Like, how can tarot enhance, you know, going for that thing, whatever it is, that ideal life you have in your mind?
I would say, and this is more a mind trick than anything, but it's something I do myself when I want to make the tough decisions and really make the changes in my life and follow the plans and dreams I have in front of me, particularly in times of uncertainty, and that's to ask your question of the cards and draw a single card. And looking at that card, tell yourself extremely honestly what that card says about your question. And then you decide if that's what you want or not. The cards can tell us what might happen, they can tell us that the energies around us, they can tell us what other people might think of us, but in the end they can't tell us what to choose, but they can help us make the choice. So for me, tarot is very much an empowering tool. That's my one tip. Use it to help make your choices, not show you what's going to happen.
Nice, like a guidance system in a way. That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so much for doing this. Where can people find you? Well, both your shop that we talked about and also just you, if they want to learn more about you. Is your shop on your website, for example?
At the moment, my website is defunct, so I don't have a website at the moment. I am on Facebook, so people can find me on there. Just my name, Kim Huggens. My Etsy shop is called Illuminated Jewels.
Okay.
And that's it. Yeah.
I will link to both down below, so we won't make it hard for them. We'll make it easy for them to find you. And I highly recommend they pick up a copy of Tarot 101. And even if they don't own the Tarot Illuminati, get the Tarot Illuminati Companion Guide. If you love tarot, it will enhance your readings with any deck, in my opinion. So thank you so much for being here, Kim. I really appreciate this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yay, much love. Peace.
Bye.